Everybody, welcome back to San Francisco. We're here in Moscone West on Media Row, Broadcast Alley. We're at the end. You're watching theCUBE, and I'm here with Dave Vellante. I'm here with John Oltsik, who is my co-host for this segment, and we're excited to have Nico Waisman here. He's the CISO of Expo. Good to see you, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
So, Expo, I had to look it up, I'll be honest with you. You're an AI hacker that autonomously finds and exploits vulnerabilities in web apps. You're currently, at the time of this, written as #1 on the HackerOne leaderboard.
That's that's what we are.
So very cool. Okay, so sort of automated pen testing and beyond.
Completely autonomous. So you just set up like this is what I want to attack. You give them like the information about like how you want to attack it, and then the AI will just do the rest. And then at the end of it, like you get, like after a couple of hours, you get like the results, and they get all the findings and all the vulnerabilities.
You guys have been around for what, 2 years now?
2 years
right?
now,
2
yeah.
years?
It feels like 20, but like it's been 2 years.
Feels like 20, okay, so you've been building product, and now you're ready to tell the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
You feel like you've got, like, you give birth to this product, you test it, you feel like you're getting close to getting product market fit. Where are you at?
No, we already have a lot of customers behind our lib. We started around like mid last year to serve our customers. As you say, like one of the big challenges for us was to show the market that we were able to use AI to actually find vulnerabilities. Because like in the past, penetration test has been like very like technical area of like application security, right? And a good way to show the market that we were able to do it was like, let's go where the hackers are. And that was when we started like releasing Expo into the HackerOne. Because HackerOne is this platform where all the hackers are like playing around, finding real vulnerability in real production environments. So we thought, why don't we like let Expo loose and see what happened? And in a couple of months, we were #1 in the US. Around June or July of last year, we were like #1 in the world. So we were beating all the other different like security researchers at finding vulnerabilities.
Are you learning from those human hackers? Is your system learning from them?
We have a team of like security hackers within Expo.
Okay.
That is basically teaching the AI how to better find vulnerabilities.
Okay.
How does that work? So is that kind of, they talk about reinforced learning, human feedback, is it like that?
It's more about like fine-tuning the way that Expo works with the different models and finding a way to like validate the findings. So the real trick with LLMs is that you know that they're very like constantly trying to please you, trying to bring you like really nice results. And that in security means that it's going to bring you a lot of false positives. So a lot of the work that my team is doing is basically like prompting it in the right direction, coordinating the way that the methodology, the penetration test is going, but most important, validating the vulnerabilities at the end of it. So we build this concept of like validators. So the idea is that the agent will go and perform an attack on some section of your website. And when they believe they find a vulnerability, the agent will say, I think I got something. And we have these validators that we built on top of it that are basically a second pair of eyes. They will look at the vulnerability that they found and say, okay, this is a real vulnerability. It's not a false positive. But if it's a false positive, it will go back to the agent and say like, hey, you're wrong, this is a false positive. Go back and find me one back. And that's kind of like the interaction between like a way to validate them and a way to attack them. And what that brings us is like, Expo is able to find a lot of vulnerabilities and reduce the number of false positives to like a really small amount.
Your philosophy is the best defense is a good offense.
100%.
Right? Okay, and so describe that offensive architecture. How do you use LLMs? What kind of proprietary value do you bring?
Absolutely. So let me tell you for like why offense is better than defense, or or like why offense is the way to defense. And the main reason for that is like, we're living in a world with too much noise. We have so many different tools that are providing a lot of signals about like vulnerabilities, about supply chain and all that. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to understand what is the real impact. And I think the best way to say like something has a real impact or not is, can an attacker actually use that vulnerability to exploit into my environment? It's not about like a potential vulnerability, it's about like, this is what a hacker can do, and I will show you how, And if you don't believe me, just follow these 2-3 steps and you will confirm it yourself. So we provide that information. Now, the real trick here is like, you can use different type of models, whether it's the foundation model, or you can train your own model. But the real trick is like how you do that at scale. And what we have built is basically a tool that has like many different sections, but more important is a tool that manages the coordination of a penetration test. It's a tool that sends a swarm of agents against your environment and make sure that the agents are not like stepping on each other's toes. They're running in a safety way. They're like not attacking your database and basically dropping your tables. And actually finding, as I mentioned before, the needle in the haystack, the real vulnerabilities from the false positives.
Is there a black box element to this? So I understand what you're saying, but I want to be able to understand your testing so that I know what you're doing and then I can respond to it. So is that auditable? Can I read that?
That's a fantastic question because like, I think this is one of the biggest breakthroughs that is coming from AI, from our product is that you have full auditability of everything that the LLM did. So when you used to do a penetration test with a human, you basically, at the end of like 3 weeks that you have done the penetration test, the only thing you get is a report that shows all the vulnerabilities, and maybe a description that says like, oh, we look at this feature, this other feature. With an AI autonomous penetration test, what you're getting is like full auditability of like every network package that we send your way, and every action that the LLM performed.
Okay.
So that means like, what was the LLM thinking, what was the action that was performed, and that was the output of that action. So you can see everything that happened.
Okay.
So in this industry, there used to be, I forget the exact joke, but it used to be like, Patch Tuesday meant Breach Wednesday. But now the time is compressing, right? So can you describe that compression between sort of vulnerability discovery and exploitation? How long is that today, and how do you sort of address that?
Yeah, I started in security almost 20 years ago. And back in those days, it's exactly what you said. Like at the beginning, it was easier to find vulnerabilities and exploit them. There was like no protection operating systems. It would take you a couple of days to just like, from finding a vulnerability to writing an exploit. But then what happened is like systems got more complex, there was like more mitigations in place, people start building more tools to like secure code, and so like finding vulnerabilities became like a little bit harder. On top of that, from the moment you find a bug to actually being able to exploit it has became like longer. Also, there's too much vulnerabilities going on. Like if you look at CVEs from year to year, it's always go up, and now with vibe coding, that's going to even go farther than what we are. The problem, or the benefit and the problem of AIs is now they can do all of that at scale. So we're seeing now a reduction between like the moment that the vulnerability is found to the moment that's being exploited. And that to us is a huge concern. Obviously this is our business, but also from like an industry point of view, like I think that we are going to a chaos phase where like offensive, especially on the bad actor side, is going to get faster, it's going to get more accurate, and we're not ready.
Are you finding 0 days?
Of course, yeah, that's what we do. That's our business.
You're not selling 0 days,
No,
though.
we're not.
Okay.
I mean, we are working with customers, and we find vulnerabilities 0 days on their own environments, and we report it. Obviously, they get that information.
Okay.
That could be lucrative, selling 0 days.
Small customer base, but it could be.
Okay, so let's talk about the sort of business case. I mean, pen testing, red teaming, a lot of manual, a lot of human intervention. So is that the business case? You're going to look at how much you can save, but there's also a risk element. You're reducing the expected loss. Take us through the business case. How do you? Yeah,
so the business case is, for us, is quite simple. Is that we are focusing on web application security, and what we're seeing is that, and we're actually kind of like fortunately because we didn't see it when we started, but with vibe coding, we're seeing like a huge increment of like code base, like applications are getting bigger, and there's way more applications. And we are not able to catch up at the speed of like what engineers are delivering nowadays. And so the only way to catch up with that is like you need to be able to match that speed with an LLM and be able to be very precise, because we cannot afford false positive anymore. And so this is why we built this product, to be able to like augment how much penetration tests you can do into our customers and be more precise about the results.
Is it continuous?
Right now it's not. We just released an incremental continuous, but we are expecting in between Q2 and Q3 being able to be on the customer's PR. So basically shifting left to the CI/CD,
yes.
And in every new addition of code, Expo can find the difference, like the delta between the new release and the old release,
okay.
and only perform a penetration test on that delta.
Right. And are you pulling, so your customers have to budget for this. Are they budgeting out of their testing budget, their red teaming budget, both? How does that work?
Yeah, it depends on the company. Like sometimes it's coming out of the pen testing budget, but nowadays we're seeing the budget coming out of like from the product side. So whether it's like DaaS or whatever used to be like DaaS and SaaS,
yeah.
Like we're seeing some of the customers like pulling some of that budget into our product.
Yeah, it's a little bit of belts and suspenders. You want both. But I have to ask you, so years ago I covered the breach and attack simulation market, and that was supposed to be automated pen testing or automated red teaming. And that market really never developed. Yeah. So what's changed that's, is it just the amount of code? Is it the vulnerabilities? What is it?
I think that is the effectiveness of the LLMs. Like it's clearly when you see the output that the LLMs had, the actions that are performing, it's just behave like a human pen tester, like at the same skill levels.
Yes.
And it's not pretending to do things. It's actually finding 0 days in our customer application.
Okay.
So the result is very clear to our customers.
So you started a couple years ago. The state of the art of the LLMs at that point was request and retrieve at a RAG-based chatbot, and then you got in, we saw reasoning come into fore. Now you're entering agentic. Was it luck that you timed it? Did you see that coming? Because the LLMs have just been exploding in capability.
Yeah, I have to say we have some insight. So our founder, Oege de Moor, is actually the founder of Copilot. So he see it coming even when like OpenAI was like a small company with a small team. And he built, I think that he built the very first product coming out of AI, which was Copilot. And when he left GitHub, this is where he contacted me and is like, let's connect AI with cybersecurity, let's go offensive. And this is what we started building Expo. I always made the joke, it's like, he built the problem, so we can go and fix it with Expo. But that's a joke, it's not realistic, but like, this is kind of like the direction with products like Copilot, with Cloud Code, Codex, and all these applications that are building a lot of code. Basically, they are open a huge market for us to go and help people that are building that fast.
Since you're so close to the individual who developed Copilot, I have to ask you, you remember when Benioff and Nadella were kind of trolling each other? And Satya said, well, the future of SaaS is agents talking to a CRUD database. Remember that? It turns out he was actually, in a way, right, but his own personal productivity software was somewhat vulnerable, because you think about how he was pricing Copilots, sort of embedding it into the personal productivity. And then Anthropic comes out to the point about how fast LLMs have evolved, and now all of a sudden Microsoft has responded. So it's actually thinking platform as opposed to injecting the Copilot into the individual personal productivity. I don't know if there's a question in there, but I guess the question is, in thinking about the speed at which these LLMs are advancing, you say you obviously got insight to it, but Satya kind of missed it, right? So it's hard to kind of predict. How do you see the model evolving, your pricing model? How do you see interacting with that customer engagement?
Yeah, so first of all, we have been collecting data from the models since like 2 years ago, back when was ChatGPT 3.5.
Yeah.
And we collect data specifically from offensive capabilities. And started like a little bit shy at the beginning. We're like, when we started the company, we were like, okay, we are 1 year ahead of something decent to see the face of a customer. But then three months later, when we found the company, we were like, wow, like now it's resolving CTF, it's behaving clear to the path of like matching the human's skills, and in a matter of like a year, we were there. Like we were matching that speed, and we have been collecting that data like Opus 4.6 is amazing, and we're seeing like new things coming out of OpenAI, from Anthropic, from Grok, from XAI, from Gemini. Like everyone is like matching each other, even in terms of offensive capabilities. So to be honest, I think that as a company, we have a responsibility to be able to help customers, because we know that the speed is going to be there, and it's almost that like we're going to get into like a phase where like things are going to be a little bit scary.
Do you create your own model?
Not right now. We experiment a lot there, but to be quite honest, right now the foundation models are getting better and better.
Yes.
So we're waiting until a time where like things are like kind of like stabilized to start on that direction. Okay. We have been collecting a lot of data, as we have done a lot of work on open source, with bug bounty programs and so on. So you have all that data there that can be used to improve models, just waiting for the right time.
So you heavily leverage the foundation model. So are you like all of us, you jump around, or you have a favorite? I mean, how do you adjudicate between?
We benchmark and we build the capabilities to be able to like switch in a second. So we build the product on purpose to be able to like switch between model to model. But not only that, we make it modularized. So for example, like for certain attack classes, we can use this model, which is better. For safety, we use other models. Or for like discovery, you can use different models. So we did that a way that it's almost like plug and play. And that actually gives us a lot of advantage, because like the models are getting better and better, and we can switch around to which was the best.
We were GTC last week, and we obviously saw the innovation coming out of NVIDIA. The pace just seems to be accelerating.
Yeah.
What does that mean for your business as the cost per token continues to go down? What does that mean for you?
I think that for us is actually like what we want to go, because like we want to democratize as much as possible our offerings. Like we want to be able to offer to small companies, and even to offer to our customers to run it as much as possible. Like run all the penetrations you can, secure yourself as much as possible. So the reduction in inference for us is an opportunity to help more and more our customers.
So, there's always the conversation about AI, attacking AI. How do you make sure that the bad guys don't take your technology and use it?
I was waiting to ask that question, Dave.
That's a very good question. We have an AI team that's specifically working on like reducing that attack. And obviously we have a strong security team in our company that is constantly testing our own product for any kind of like LLM injection. This year is where we're going to be moving into attacking LLMs too. Right now we have been focused 100% on web application. Clearly everyone is using LLMs, bringing their own agents, is running their own MCPs. Like it's time for us to go and serve that market too.
And are you integrated into the DevSec, DevSecOps and those kinds of tools so that we can do the kind of CI/CD pipelining?
Yeah, that's what we want between Q2 and Q3. That's what we're going to be releasing soon.
Yeah.
So, thinking a couple years ahead, do you see this as a fundamental capability? I mean, the TAM is, in theory, anybody who does pen testing.
Yeah.
Right? Do you see this as this kind of, not there yet, but do you see that kind of continuous testing as sort of a fundamental staple of a CISO's arsenal?
I think it is. I think like the direction that every company is going is like, every company now is an engineering company and is an AI company. And if you're not there, like you are slowly getting behind. So it's clear like the direction is like continuous testing as fast as possible, because everyone is going to be continuous delivering. So you have to match that speed, and we need to do it now, because all the companies are now building that.
I would imagine that we'll see PCI go into that direction. We'll see the cyber insurance vendors demanding this, and it's not happening yet, but it will with tools like yours. Yeah,
we believe that's that direction that everything is taking, both on like compliance, on like PCI, SOC 2, everything else is taking that direction.
Makes sense.
But I think it's go beyond compliance, to be honest, because like people are going to be exposed, and they need to go and figure it out how to fix it.
Well, if compliance is a motivator, that's good, but yes, you should be thinking about your exposures.
Exactly.
So you have machines attacking machines, you have machines defending against machines. What's the human? What's left for the human to do?
Well, the human is strategy, I think. Like I think that's the direction. I think like humans has to like figure out the strategy behind like offensive and direct the penetration test into like what's next. On top of that, I think that there's still an aspect of like human hacker creativity that the LLMs cannot fully take. There's still a lot of things that the LLM cannot do that humans can do. So I think that the role of humans is more of about like, let all the low-hanging fruits for the LLMs, let's focus on like the things that matter the most for you and focus there.
And are the LLMs teaching you about the tactics, techniques, and procedures that the bad guys are using so you can catch up and learn?
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly. And we recently closed a partnership with Microsoft where we are bringing offense into defense. So like, right now, you can, with some of our Microsoft customers, can actually use Expo to run it with Microsoft Attack Surface Management tool, and then bring those findings back to their CM and figure out if like an incident happened on the vulnerability that was found. So imagine that flow where like, you have a web application that is suddenly exposed online, you go and attack it and find out all the vulnerabilities, you bring those vulnerabilities back to your SOC and automatically say like, okay, this vulnerability was actually used by an attacker here, because now you have the information about the vulnerability that you didn't know about it before.
Yes.
And you can automatically go and be like, okay, now I need to create an incident because I know like where I was attacked.
Yeah, there's a closed loop angle here where you find the vulnerabilities, I immediately put up some detection rules, I change my controls, and I alert the developers on what they did wrong.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly.
When you, like security pros, hear something like OpenClaw, do you like have a big party? Well, so what do you think about OpenClaw? We saw last week, NVIDIA announced NemoClaw to make OpenClaw more secure. I was reading a Substack this morning, why I'm dumping my OpenClaw, because Anthropic is 30% of the way there and they'll eventually get there. What are your thoughts there? I mean, obviously vulnerabilities galore.
Yeah, I'm generally worried because like suddenly you see a lot of people that might not be technical just coming up and set up their own environment, and that environment has a lot of access, like access that we have never seen before. And that trust relationship to me is like a problem coming. So like every time I see, like in OpenClaw is one of them, like tomorrow we're going to have something else, right. Because like every week there's a new release of something that is new and everyone is excited about, and it's all the hype about that. My concern is like, is the direction that I'm going to take and who's going to use it and what's going to be the consequence of that. So I'm more worried than excited. I think like bad actors are more excited than I am, to be honest.
Is the industry prepared? I mean,
we need to. I think that everyone has a responsibility as a CISO to be prepared for what's coming. Like AI is already here. You need to be thinking about like that speed and that scale, and you need to start preparing for that.
So you're CISO in a tech company, so obviously your role is different than if you're a bank or an insurance company or a manufacturer. How has the CISO's role changed in the last couple of years? And what's your advice to the CISO that's like, look, I'm trying to keep the lights on here. I've now got all these new attacks. I'm trying to innovate as well. Yeah. How do you recommend balancing all that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that like every CISO now needs to understand that the organization is an engineer-led organization, because like everyone from like sales to marketing is using Cloud Code or Codex to write code. So like they need to be aware that now they're running an engineer-based company. And to be honest, it's not different from like what they used to be doing. Inventory is extremely important. Security by default is going to be like adamant for like everyone. Like you need to make sure that you build the right security guardrails for people to innovate fast, but doesn't go outside of those guardrails. And then testing at engineer speed.
Do you have another question? Please.
Oh no, so I was just going to ask, so it starts with the governance model, but buy-in from the business people, standardize on that, put the policies together. So it's back to really just strong governance has got to lead this thing.
Yeah, it's always been about like strong governance, to be honest. Like there's this old phrase, but it says like, whoever knows the network is the owner of that, and that means like, is the defenders the owner of the network, or is the attackers the owner of the network?
Yes. And
I mean, I'm saying networks is kind of like an old concept. Like nowadays, everything is like, there's no concept of a network, or like
the attack surface,
attack
yeah,
surface.
I understand.
But that's kind of like the idea. It's like you need to make sure that you have full ownership, full governance of like how you deploy in software, and such a way like you understand like the structure there, and you're able to like protect it.
My last question, give us a plug for the company. How novel is this? What are your differentiators? What's the competitive environment like? Give us the plug, how do we engage with Expo?
Well, Expo.com, this is where we are. I think that the company is like right now the #1 company in terms of AI autonomous pen testers. We have the more mature product out there. When we go to our customers and you ask me like, what is the competition? Basically our customers right now are putting it against humans. It's like how, they make us like go and test this application, we run Expo, and they all intend to have like a human pen tester doing the same thing at the same time, and then they compare the results. And then based on that, they find things. There's a lot of like newcomers, out of like you heard the news, there's a lot of like new companies that are being created in this area. We have been there, it sounds like 2 years is a small period of time, but for AI, it's a huge amount of time. So like we have been around, we are enterprise ready, which is another thing that is complex to build upon it. Like we have worked with a lot of like financial industry customers, manufacturer, and all sort of customers. So we are there, we are ready for any sort of like customers, and we can make it happen.
AI versus humans, it's kind of not fair. It's like chess, and playing chess against the machine.
And the machines won, what, 20 years ago?
So. Win, right? Yeah. So I would imagine you're going to get some new entrants into this space, because it's a big market. Yep. Nico, thanks so much for coming on theCUBE. It's a great story, appreciate it, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for watching. This is Dave Vellante for John Oltsik and theCUBE at RSAC 2026 from Moscone West. Stop by and see us. We'll be right back, right after this short break.